And we are live. Hey there, welcome to Creative Crusade, my ongoing art journey. If you want to stay up to date with me and learn alongside with me, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can do that in real time. So, today's lesson is the 250 cylinder challenge. And this challenge is very similar to the 250 box challenge in that you're going to also be constructing boxes. But yeah, so let's get into it. So the challenge has two parts. There's 150 just cylinders and then 100 cylinders inside of boxes. So let's figure out how to draw an actual cylinder, which you should know by now because you have read the lesson and watched the videos, right? Good. Because I'm supposed to just be here to show you how to do it in person. So we're going to first define the minor axis of our ellipse, or our ellipse and cylinder, which essentially you can think of it as the very center of this cylinder we're creating. And then, so that's just essentially a line. That's our minor axis. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. So then you're just going to take this and draw an ellipse around it. You're going to try to keep it as even as possible, because essentially, see, that was terrible, but essentially your goal is to have an ellipse that you can perfectly divide in half, where each side is perfectly symmetrical, and that's how you know that this ellipse is correct within that minor ellipse. So now, let's draw the other side, and since this is also in perspective, this side's going to be further away from us, so the ellipse will be flatter, which that's not that much flatter. I should have made it a little bit wider. But you're going to do that. You'll draw this first one, draw your second one, and then you'll connect the sides with straight lines, not these crooked ones. And there you go. You have your first, number one, ellipse. All right, now you just have 149 more to go. So let's do a couple more of those. So another major important thing is to try to draw through your ellipses, as in don't just draw one really carefully, because it's super wobbly and not as accurate as if you were to do it this way, which is draw through it 2 or 3 times. And you can even draw an ellipse first and then try to make a minor axis for it, which can be harder sometimes. Just do a lot of ghosting. A little bit curvy. It's off-centered and it's kind of angled wrong. So let's make this a lot larger. So essentially this will be a much more extreme perspective. Also it's way off. Then just connect those edges as best we can, ghost more. Now we have our second cylinder. Let's go ahead and do one more. Define your minor ellipsis. Keep getting ellipse and axis mixed up. Let's actually try to make this a straight line. Can we do that, Jaden? Yeah, we can. Let's try it. Not bad. Then we'll throw an ellipse in here someplace. It's a little crooked. Maybe we'll make this one thinner. So let's connect that. All right, now we have 3 ellipses or cylinders. You can also make them you can have fun with it, make it really crazy. Like maybe we got kind of small one here. Oops. Make sure you got enough padding underneath that. You can either make them really long, really short, really wide. Like maybe have this one be huge on the bottom. See, the size isn't really what matters. It's if you have it split correctly. Like this one's off. So it doesn't matter that it's short or that these are tapered. That's okay, because the minor ellipse still goes to the middle, or it should. But you can mess around with this a lot more and do a lot of crazy stuff. Now let's actually error check ourselves. So we can take a ruler and ideally a different colored pen, but this will work. And you're going to essentially look at your ellipse and just basically tunnel vision only on that ellipse. You're not considering anything else, just this ellipse. You're going to try to find the exact center of it and divide it in half equally. I'm just going to use this see-through ruler just because it makes it a lot easier to see both sides of your ellipse. And so I can already see that this is off. And I'm going to draw it, its true minor axis, which is like that. So I can see that this ellipse is off. Now let's go ahead and do this one. Again, only looking at just the ellipse, nothing else. And when you draw through a lot like this, it can kind of be hard to judge. So I just kind of try to average the whole thing in my head just to kind of see, just find the true shape. So this one looks to be somewhere around there. So I can see that one's pretty off, and this ellipse is pretty off. This one's a little bit off, not a ton, but it's better. So this one's gonna be way off because we're again dividing it in two equal symmetrical halves. I can see that this is extremely off. And it could even go to the left a little more. This top one. So the angle wasn't too bad, but the positioning was pretty bad. So essentially you just go through your whole page and that's how you error check all your ellipses and stuff. So now let's move on to the ellipses inside of boxes. So for this one, just like the 250 box challenge, you start off by constructing a box. So just like you normally would in the 250 box challenge or whatever, just create a 3-point perspective box. You know the drill. And if you don't know how to construct a box, so again, if you're unfamiliar with how I'm doing this, just go watch my 250 box challenge video, and then I'll basically explain my whole process of how I draw these boxes. So I'm not going to go into too much detail into it for the cylinder challenge because it's for the cylinder challenge. So this is kind of a flat perspective, but essentially what you're doing is you're going to pick two opposite sides of this box that you've created, and you're going to cross divide them, or you're going to do this cross thing to find the exact center of it. If you can draw a straight line, you do it on the back side as well. And where these X's are, that's our center line. So if we draw a line through these 2 points, that should be our minor axis for our ellipse, if you see where this is going. So now we're going to draw an ellipse in here and in there. And it's just like those planes or those circles and planes. That was kind of bad. So then you'll draw it like that. It's super messy, but whatever, it's okay. You're going to take this corner of your ellipse and connect to the other one to create a cylinder. Something like that. Whoops. And now you have a box inside of a cylinder. Let's do one more with a little bit more perspective. You can also do these with long boxes, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a cube. You can make it any cuboid shape, whatever. So let's go ahead and do one more with a weird perspective. And if you mess up your box like this one, it's going to mess up your ellipse. So yeah, your cylinder, I should say. So again, we're just going to cross divide these couple planes. Front and back. Find your two center points, which is right there and there. Draw a line through them to find your minor axis. It's a little off, but that's okay. And then just put an ellipse in that plane. Then connect them. Alright, so now you can error check these. And the way you do that is just like in the 250 box challenge, you'll error check your box and your ellipse. So you'll do this with a different colored pen, preferably. So that's your box there. I can already tell that this line is pretty off. The other three are decent. And then we can check this ellipse. Again, just isolating just the ellipse. Try to make it as symmetrical as possible. So I can see this ellipse is extremely far off, away from its minor axis. We can do this one as well and see that it is crazy off as well, because the minor axis goes through this way. So I just need to rotate that in this box to fix that, essentially. And you can do all the other points of your boxes. Another way to tell if your ellipses are correct, you check their contact points with your planes. So for this one, I could already made that a little off for the minor axis, but you can see like there's a contact point like right about here if we're averaging it, and a contact point like right there. So if we draw along those two lines as well, we can see it helps. It's another line to check your box for perspective, or rather your ellipse, to see if it's in the right spot, and we can see that it's off. We can do that with this one here. It looks like contact point right there, and averaging it out because it's too big for this, looks like it's going to be like right there. That contact point is a little better than that one, and you can do this for all directions as well, so we can do it here as well. So it looks like here and here. Yeah, and so we do our minor axis and the two contact points in those spaces, and that's how you error check your ellipse or your cylinders in boxes. So yeah, that's how you do this challenge. You just do a whole lot more of those, and you will get better results than this. But yeah, so I hope that helped you in some way, and I will see you later.